Hello and welcome to this week's edition of VR Vertigo. So, another VR studio has shut down. Specifically, according to this particular message, Vertigo Studios Amsterdam. And, what is there to say? Unfortunately, the worst part about this is that a bunch of creative individuals lose their jobs. And that, in this particular fiscal climate we find ourselves in, is a serious bummer. I hope everybody recovers quickly and manages to find new positions elsewhere. On the screen behind me is their official statement, courtesy of Gamertag VR. Gamertag VR was going through a bit of an existential VR crisis. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. He had a complete rant about the state of VR, mentioning many subjects related to VR, including his own ability to pay the bills. And that's something we can all identify with. Ultimately, his video ends in a kind of positive fashion. And I think I'm quoting him correctly when I say he said, "Tomorrow is another VR day." And of course, that's very true. But still, the cries of VR is dead are coming thick and fast. And it's not hard to see why. However, the hardware keeps coming. Headsets continue to be developed and games are continuing to be made, albeit at a kind of slow, intermittent, not at all helpful or confidence-building fashion. And here I am again asking the same question. If VR is dead, then why the Steam frame? Well, I have my own theories. The Steam frame is in a unique position. It is tied intrinsically to the Steam Games Store. A store with, how many games has it got on it? Thousands? And some of those thousands of games have been cherry-picked by individuals who, in my opinion, are doing God's work. They mod flat-screen games and turn them into VR titles. This, quite simply, is the Steam frame's strength. It has at its disposal a huge amount of games from which these modders can choose. And in my opinion, they've chosen some bangers. Games which, under any other circumstances, studios wouldn't ever dream of turning into a VR title. Cyberpunk VR. Star Citizen. And I'm trying to think of games and I've drawn a blank because there are just so many. So many great games sat there in an almost purpose-built repository from which to cherry-pick. And it strikes me that maybe this is why Meta shrunk away from VR. It saw the release of the Steam frame not only as direct competition, but as a threat. A very real business threat. Because who on earth wants to play these kind of jokey, gamey, childlike experiences on a headset that costs a lot of money? And that in itself was one of the strange dichotomies that VR found itself in. Expensive hardware only to play really rather throwaway titles. The cost of VR is nothing to be sniffed at. And the Steam frame looks as though it might cost us all a pretty penny. And in an environment currently where all hardware is more expensive now, thank you AI, then if you're going to have to spend the money on something that you enthusiastically want, then the Steam frame is a great proposition because it has, backing it up, a great number of titles and features that other headsets just don't have. Now, I could take this opportunity to delve into the PSVR 2 and its connection to the Steam frame, business-wise at least, but there's really no point. Sony have screwed the pooch in this particular regard. The PSVR 2 being a headset way ahead of its time, and PlayStation with its customary short-sightedness have rather shot themselves in the face straight through their own great headset.
Sony, well done!
The Steam machine is set for release any day now, and the Steam frame surely can't be that far off. And what we are looking at, what Meta saw all those months ago, is that the Steam frame with the Steam store is set to become its own VR kingdom, an ecosystem which is self-sufficient, self-sustaining. Everything it needs lives behind its doors. And with the imminent release of the Steam machine and the Steam frame, His Majesty Gabe Newell has instructed that the kingdom doors be opened wide, proclaiming loudly, all VR gamers are welcome within. This will be your safe space. This is now your home. It can't be overstated. The Steam machine and the Steam frame stand to change everything for VR. I don't think that's too big a statement to make. I think that's actually true. In a very small, significant way, the Steam frame has made the VR communities an offering which others just can't match. And all it has to do is deliver games at a decent frame rate with clarity. If it can get those two things right, it will have done its job. And the only other thing we VR enthusiasts can hope for is that maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to plug our respective headsets into the Steam machine, thereby opening up the entire ecosystem and ensuring the Steam machine's longevity for quite some time to come. All in all, Steam seem, on the face of it at least, before the kit has been fully released, to have played a blinder. And we, the VR communities, stand to reap the rewards of all their hard work. All we have to do is sell a kidney to buy it all. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe and share, it really would help the channel. And until next time, do look after yourselves.